Hey there, book enthusiasts. Welcome back to the channel where we dive deep into some of the most inspiring and life-changing literature out there. Today, we're unpacking the incredible insights from Angela Duckworth's bestseller, Grit, The Power of Passion and Perseverance. Grit is about understanding the real secret to achieving long-term goals. It's not raw talent, nor is it sheer luck. It's all about having grit. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you won't miss any of our weekly book summaries. Now, let's get right into it. Grit is a book written by Dr. Angela Duckworth in 2016. Grit is the combination of passion and perseverance. It's about moving in a direction with consistency and endurance, like having a clear inner compass that guides all your decisions and actions. People to value and even enjoy hard work. Duckworth takes us through her research, showing that the gritty individuals are the ones who make it to the finish line. They're the ones who combine passion with a sustained, long-term effort. So, what is grit exactly? Duckworth describes it as a combination of passion, a deep-seated interest in what you're doing, and perseverance, a relentless, never-give-up attitude. Regardless of setbacks, failures, or obstacles, a person with grit stays the course. But how do you measure grit? Angela developed a grit scale, a simple questionnaire that predicts success more reliably than IQ tests. Who would have thought, right? Next, Duckworth emphasizes the importance of having a growth mindset, a concept developed by psychologist Carol Dweck. It's the belief that your abilities aren't fixed, but rather can be developed over time. The book isn't just academic theory, either. Angela provides practical strategies for growing your grit. It all starts with discovering and deepening your interests. Follow your curiosity, look for what fascinates you, and give it a try. Dedication to practice is another key. Duckworth introduces the concept of deliberate practice, which is practice that's methodical and purposeful, focusing on areas that need improvement and involves continuous feedback. The book also dives into the importance of purpose and hope. Purpose is connecting your work to something larger than yourself. Hope is maintaining an optimistic outlook, which fuels perseverance. Now, let's not forget the part about raising gritty kids. Angela advises parents to encourage their children to follow through on their commitments, whether it's sports, music lessons, or a school project. In Grit, psychologist Angela Duckworth argues that, contrary to popular belief, the secret to extraordinary achievement isn't talent, genius, or IQ, but rather effort. Specifically, over more than a decade of intensive psychological research, Duckworth has found that the most successful people tend to have grit, which combines a sustained commitment to specific long-term goals with the ability to work tirelessly toward those goals and easily bounce back from failure. Grit predicts achievement because it fosters the most effective approach to problem solving. Gritty people clearly understand what they want to accomplish and why. They dedicate time and energy to building the skills they need to succeed, then consistently apply those skills until they do. Perhaps most importantly, they never give up on their primary goals. Duckworth's book has 3 parts. In the first, she introduces the fundamentals of grit. Next, she explains how to identify and develop the 4 key traits of grit: interest, practice, purpose, and hope. Finally, she teaches parents, educators, and leaders how to help others cultivate grit. Duckworth opens by recalling how, when she was growing up, her father always told her that she was no genius. Like many people, he believed that talent is inherent and fixed. But ironically, Duckworth won a MacArthur Genius Grant for proving him wrong and showing that grit matters more than talent. For instance, at the U.S. Military Academy at West Point, academic scores and athletic performance don't predict who makes it through the grueling 6-week summer program called Beast Barracks. But grit does, at least when measured by Duckworth's Grit Scale questionnaire. Similarly, Duckworth has found that grittier salespeople are more likely to stay in their jobs, grittier high schoolers are more likely to graduate, and grittier spelling bee contestants are more likely to make it far in the National Spelling Bee. Duckworth first became interested in grit while teaching middle school math in New York City. She realized that her hard-working students earned higher grades than her more mathematically talented students, which flew in the face of conventional wisdom. Most Americans attribute success to talent, not hard work. So does McKinsey, the prestigious consulting firm where Duckworth worked before becoming a teacher. but focusing on talent has clear downsides. For instance, students who see themselves as untalented tend to give up on academic challenges rather than working to improve their skills. In other words, people who focus on talent miss out on the opportunity to grow. Yet all the scientific evidence shows that true achievement almost always comes from hard work. It's tempting to attribute the success of extraordinary athletes and artists to natural talent, especially because that suggests that normal people haven't done anything wrong and can't possibly hope to compete with them. But, in reality, anyone can achieve greatness if they work hard enough, under the right conditions. Duckworth explains her theory of achievement in two equations. Talent effort equals skill, and then skill effort equals achievement. Notably, effort counts twice. That's why grit is so much more important than talent. Accomplished figures like lifelong potter Warren McKenzie and dyslexic novelist John Irving show that to truly achieve great things, people must work hard to build their skills and then work just as hard to apply them. Duckworth includes her grit scale and encourages the reader to measure their own grit. The scale uses 10 questions to measure grit's two key components, passion and perseverance. Passion isn't about committing to something very intensely for a short period of time, but rather about pursuing the same ultimate goal in an abiding, loyal, steady way over the course of years. Gritty people understand how all of their smaller goals fit into their quest for their major goal, which guides them through life like a compass. They also persevere in difficult situations, like longtime New Yorker cartoonist Bob Mankoff, who sent thousands of cartoons to the magazine in the 1970s before it finally accepted his first one. Fortunately, Duckworth explains, people's grit scores tend to change over time, which shows that both passion and perseverance can be learned. So can gritty people's 4 key underlying traits: interest, practice, purpose, and hope. First, gritty people almost always genuinely love what they do, which strongly motivates them to succeed at it. But people don't find their interests in a flash of inspiration. Instead, they have to gradually discover and develop them over time. Duckworth argues that young people should experiment with a wide variety of different interests, and it's fine to discard ones that aren't a good fit. Later, as gritty people age, they deepen their interests, they stick with their field, but learn to find novelty and excitement within it. Second, gritty people put in endless practice to improve their skills. Specifically, they put in years of what psychologist Anders Ericsson calls deliberate practice, which means they identify their weaknesses and working as hard as possible to improve them. While deliberate practice is a grueling and repetitive way to develop skills, when gritty people actually use those skills, they often experience the state of total immersion and concentration known as flow. Third, gritty people generally feel a sense of purpose, which means that they do their work in part because it benefits other people. Of course, they can also be motivated by self-interest. In fact, the combination of selfish and other-oriented motives tends to be most effective. To find a sense of purpose, Duckworth argues, young people should look for the connections between their work and their values, and they should seek out role models who also live purposefully. Fourth and finally, gritty people have hope. Specifically, they believe that they can overcome obstacles and improve their lives through their own effort. Psychologists Marty Seligman and Steve Meyer have famously shown that people and animals who are exposed to uncontrollable suffering often learn to view themselves as helpless. While those who have some control over their suffering often become more optimistic and resilient. In fact, optimists are generally healthier, grittier, and more successful. They believe that they can overcome obstacles, so they try much harder to do so, and often, they succeed. Similarly, psychologist Carol Dweck has found that people with a growth mindset tend to perform much better over time than those with a fixed mindset. Like Seligman and Meyer, Dweck has shown that the key to developing a growth mindset is overcoming obstacles early in life. In her last 3 chapters, Duckworth asks how people can teach others grit. First, she examines parenting. Some parents, like football player Steve Youngs, believe that strict rules and high expectations are the key to raising gritty children. Others, like comedian Francesca Martinez's, favor unconditional affection and support. But really, both are right. Effective parents have to be both supportive and demanding. In other words, they have high standards for young people but support them through the process of achieving those standards. In the next chapter, Duckworth argues that extracurricular activities offer young people a crucial opportunity to develop grit. Where children usually find school hard but not interesting and social time interesting but not hard, extracurriculars can be both. In fact, adolescents who stick with the same extracurriculars for several years tend to perform better in college. While there still isn't robust scientific evidence comparing children who do extracurricular activities with those who don't, Duckworth believes that the effect is clear. Activities teach young people to value and even enjoy hard work. Finally, Duckworth asks how groups, whether a school, corporation, sports team, or entire nation, can build a culture of grit. Culture strongly shapes people's identities. And identity strongly shapes the way people make decisions. Therefore, Duckworth argues, joining high-grit cultures is a surefire way to become grittier. For instance, UNC Chapel Hill women's soccer coach Anson Dorrance and Seattle Seahawks football coach Pete Carroll have both made grit central to their team's cultures. And this has fueled their success. Duckworth concludes by reiterating that the importance of grit is good news for her readers. If inherent talent were the only route to success, most people would simply have to give up, since few people are born geniuses. But since grit is more important, and it's possible to become grittier over time, anyone can become a genius and succeed if they work hard enough. And before we wrap up, a critical takeaway from the book: effort counts twice. Duckworth's formula for achievement is talent x effort equals skill, and skill x effort equals achievement. It's that second effort that truly makes the difference. Grit is a game changer. It's the book you need to read if you're serious about hitting your long-term goals. Angela Duckworth shows us it's not just what we do, but how we do it, that defines our success. That's all for our summary of Grit by Angela Duckworth. The book is packed with more insight, research, and inspiring stories, so I highly encourage you to grab a copy for yourself. Thanks for watching. If you found value in this summary, I highly recommend you to grab a copy of this incredible book. Link in the description below. Give this video a thumbs up and share it with someone who needs a dose of grit in their lives. Comment below your thoughts, and let's chat about the power of passion and perseverance. Until next time, keep reading and keep growing.